Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. I am very excited to finally be sitting down to film the labor and delivery story of my daughter. So she was born July 12th, very late in the evening, and it is currently 2 weeks later, exactly 2 weeks since my daughter was born, and I can't wait to tell you everything that happened. So, my labor and delivery was kind of like best case scenario for what I wanted. Um, Obviously, like everyone goes into it and they hope that it's, quick and not super painful, and everyone is, healthy at the end of it. And so I felt like I had close to that experience of, what I was hoping for. So when I last left off, it was my 39-week update. So I was 39 weeks and 1 day pregnant. I had gone in for my doctor's appointment to do the membrane sweep and went into labor actually a few days later. This is not going to be a vlog. I did not film the labor and delivery of my daughter for two reasons. One, there's a big part of me that wanted to share the labor and delivery in a vlog format, but there was a bigger part of me that wanted to keep it private and authentic, just an experience between my husband and I. And number two, everything went pretty quick. Even if I did want to film it, I don't know if I would have even had the time to set up a camera. And so I'll get into, how fast it was and everything. But yeah, I'll start off by saying it was really quick. And so I would have maybe had time to do kind of a vlog with the early labor symptoms, but there wasn't really much exciting going on. I was just having contractions, But once I decided to go to the hospital and we went to the hospital, everything was way too fast to even sit down and try to film some clips. So let me just jump right in. So after the membrane sweep, it was on a Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday, so the next couple days, I didn't really have a lot of bleeding, but I did have contractions, and they were getting more and more painful, but they were inconsistent. Like at the most, I would have maybe 3 in an hour, and during the night they'd wake me up, but they never became like anything timeable, or like I said, they were just not consistent enough to call it real labor. And I had sort of the same experience with my son when he was born. I was kind of in that early labor stage for a few days. And so I was thinking, I'm just going to have to get through the weekend dealing with this. And then maybe on Monday, I'll call the doctor's office and see if I can move up my induction date, because my induction was not scheduled to the next Thursday. So Friday and Saturday, just a lot of really inconsistent contractions. And then I finally went into labor on Sunday. So Sunday, I was 39 weeks and 4 days pregnant. I woke up that morning kind of thinking the same thing's going to happen. I wasn't really having any contractions that morning, but my mother-in-law and I decided that we would go on a walk. Maybe things will get going, maybe they won't. So, it was getting really hot. It was kind of like midday, maybe noon or so. I'm like, well, it's hot. Maybe this will help get labor going. Maybe it won't, but I'm gonna just go on this walk. So we did that. We saw an open house in the neighborhood, walked around, did a lot of like up and down the hills, came back to the house, and no contractions. But about 2 hours later, so not very long, 2 hours later, I started to have contractions again. And this time they were painful again, but they were getting more consistent. And as the hours went on, it was just like every, 10 minutes, every 8 minutes. Then we started to make dinner, and I was like, okay, well, when I sit down, I feel worse, so I'm going to just help make dinner even though I'm having a lot of contractions. My brother-in-law came over, my sister-in-law came over, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, like the whole family was there. And here I am, like every few minutes having a contraction and having to like stop and like, obviously I was in a lot of pain, and they were like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm just having contractions. And so I helped make dinner. We made some sort of pasta dish that I really wanted. And by the time we went from like cooking the pasta to like putting it on the table, I could not eat. The thought of eating was impossible to me. I just wanted to go like sit on the toilet, which is so TMI, but I just wanted to sit on the toilet and pee and just like have tons and tons of pressure through these contractions. It just helped to like sit on the toilet. I know that sounds so weird, but that's all I wanted to do. So I spent like on and off the next hour or so in the bathroom with this pressure, and you kind of get that thought going in your head like, am I about to poop or am I about to have a baby in the toilet? That was what was going through my head. And so about 8 o'clock in the evening was when I finally decided we need to go to the hospital. I was starting to time them, and they were getting to the point where it was every 3 to 4 minutes. They were strong. I didn't have like the back labor though. I was waiting to have this back labor that would clue me in for sure that this is real labor. I'm not going to get to the hospital and have them send me home. But I never got that. And my water obviously didn't break, because had it broken, I would have gone to the hospital, you know. My water did not break. So finally around 9 o'clock is when we got out the door. And I will try and insert, pictures throughout this video of what was going on. And anything that we did capture, I will try to insert. So around 9 o'clock, we finally got out the door. I texted a few people on the way to the hospital, had some painful contractions in the car, but nothing that was like beyond about an 8 or so on the pain scale. So we get to the hospital, and it's COVID, so we just have to like do some paperwork. I had called the doctor before we left. Actually, my husband called and told them what was going on, and it was the on-call doctor, and she asked me, like, how far apart are your contractions, and is this your first baby, and have you had any complications? And I told her that I have like a prolapsed uterus and bladder, but no other complications. It's not my first baby. Told her about the contractions, and she did tell me to come in. So they knew I was coming. So we get to the emergency room where we check in, do some paperwork. It was relatively quick. We had our masks on. They take your temperature. Actually, it's like it automatically takes your temperature as you're in the lobby of the emergency room, and everyone is on this like little camera, and it shows your face and it shows your temperature. It's kind of creepy, but I guess it's cool technology. Anyway, so then they send us to triage. So I'm walking up the stairs going to triage, and it's like contraction, contraction, contraction. Finally, they're like, do you want a wheelchair? I'm like, I don't want a wheelchair. It feels better to just walk or stand. So we get to triage, and my husband took some pictures where I look really awful. Anyway, if I still have those, if I haven't deleted them, I'll put one in here. But the nurse checks me and asks me like, are you going to want an epidural? And I'm like, ugh, I don't know if I've ever really talked too much yet about my last experience with the epidural, but it was awful. They did puncture my spinal column, and I did have a very difficult time with recovery because of the epidural, and it's kind of a botched epidural, I guess. The pain relief during labor worked really great, but the pain afterwards was absolutely awful. So I'll leave it at that. But no, I did not want an epidural. But I was really scared to try and deliver without one. So I was like flip-flopping. I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I need it. What if I start to get that back labor? I couldn't handle it last time. So I'm like, oh, I don't know. In my head, I'm like, well, if I'm, 7-ish centimeters or more, I'm not going to get the epidural. But if I'm like 5 centimeters or less, I'm just going to get it. Anyway, so she checks me, and I'm she says 7 to 8 centimeters dilated and like 90% effaced and at a 0 station, which means like I think the baby's like, right there and engaged and ready. And I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe I can do this, and I'm like, but maybe I can't. And then I'd have a contraction and I'd be like, oh gosh, I don't know. Anyway, she's like, the nurse was amazing. She's like, you can do this. She's like, what we need to do is I need to call this doctor. She's going to come in, she's going to break your water, and that baby's just going to come out. I'm like, okay, I hope so. So she calls the doctor, tells her, you need to probably hurry up and get down here because she's pretty ready to just deliver this baby. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So they quickly get me a room. They had 2 rooms left on the floor. Like, they were really full. Mind you, it's now 9:30 at night. So they get me a room. They're like, do you want a wheelchair? No, I don't want a wheelchair. I just want to walk. Get me off this table right now so I can like stand and rock through these contractions, because sitting down, oh my gosh, they're way worse sitting down. Just a tip. Get up. So I'm walking to my room, I have a couple contractions on the walk there. And the nurse is like, I just need to, get in my gear because I have to wear like face masks and like this crazy suit and all this other stuff. And they look like they're, in a spaceship. But she's like, I just need to get in my gear and we'll get this baby out. And then she's like, let me check you again though. She checks me again. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're like 9 to 10 centimeters. So she calls the doctor again. She's like, you need to get down here like right now. So the doctor comes down within the next couple minutes. I have like 2 contractions in the room that we were admitted to. The doctor lays me down on the bed. She's like, okay, I'm going to break your water. I'm like, okay, break my water. She breaks my water. I have 1 contraction after she breaks my water. I'm like, I'm pushing. She's like, okay, there's like no nurses really ready and geared up, but whoever was kind of in there was helping. And I push twice and the baby is out like so fast. She was born at 9:58 p.m. so less than a half hour after we got to the hospital. It was an amazing experience. Like, I can't even describe how happy I was to deliver this baby, all natural, not have to get the epidural and worry about that experience again. She came out, she was beautiful. They left her attached with the umbilical cord for a few minutes. Like, she was attached to me for minutes and just like laying on my chest, and it was amazing. Like, I can't even tell you how amazing it was. She weighed 6 pounds, 13 ounces, and she was 18.5 inches in length. She has such dark hair. Her skin tone is dark. Like, she's so beautiful. And yeah, it was just an amazing experience. So after I delivered her, the doctor told me I tore a little bit. She put in 2 or 3 stitches, again with no pain meds or anything. It really wasn't that bad. But yeah, I'd say the worst pain, it was probably about an 8.5 to a 9. Like, I never felt like I got to that 10 of like, this is horrible pain. It really was quick and just moderately painful. And as far as recovery goes, so for the recovery, at first I didn't want like any Advil or Tylenol or anything, but then once I started trying to nurse her, I started to have those like postpartum contractions where your uterus is trying to shrink, and that was a lot more painful than I remember from my first. And they say like after each child it does get more and more painful, But yeah, those postpartum contractions were no joke. I did eventually ask for ibuprofen, and then I was taking that every 6 hours, and that helped quite a bit with the pain. And then obviously there's a lot of postpartum bleeding and things like that, but that hasn't been too bad. I'd say postpartum recovery was pretty good. As far as my weight goes, the highest my weight ever got was 160. So I gained 38 pounds total this pregnancy, which is a little bit less than I did with my son. I think I gained 43 pounds or so with my son. And then I weighed myself. I finally got on the scale a week after I had the baby, and I only had lost like 10 pounds. So I was 150 a week later, and I was like, how is this possible? You know, how did I only lose 10 pounds? Like, I had an almost 7-pound baby, delivered a placenta, lost all this blood and things like that, and I've only lost 10 pounds. But that's okay. I've decided I'm not going to weigh myself anymore for now, or at least give myself a little bit of a break from that and just focus on breastfeeding, not worrying about my weight, and I'll deal with getting my body back in the near future. But I do want to get my milk supply stabilized for breastfeeding, because I did have a harder time with my son. I kind of got off to a bad start, and it's really hard to get your supply up after you after the first few weeks. So yeah, so getting my supply stabilized for milk production has been my top priority, not weight loss or anything like that. So breastfeeding, it's a challenge. I mean, it's not easy for most people. It is not easy. There are those few where they have a easy time with it. They don't get like sore nipples. Their baby latches right away. But for me, it is not easy. So she wanted to latch right away, but she was like almost like a little piranha is what I would call her. So she would like do this biting motion on my nipples, and it hurt so bad. And I would try and like get a deeper latch, but I just couldn't get her to latch enough for it to not hurt. And so I was mostly hand expressing in the hospital, colostrum for her, and feeding it with a syringe. But I knew that before I left, I had to keep trying to get her latch a little bit better to go home with, you know. And so things have gotten a lot better. The nipple soreness has subsided. I think that my nipples have toughened up, and her latch has gotten deeper on its own. We haven't really seen a lactation specialist besides in the hospital. But I'd say now breastfeeding is going reasonably well. And I don't have to use a nipple shield or anything like that. I have not had to supplement with formula. I do pump at least once a day because I want her to get used to having a bottle and breastfeeding, and nursing, I should say. But yeah, I'd say it's going well. Don't expect it to be easy though. If you've never done it before, it is tough. You have to just get through the first week. Like, just try it for the first week and then make your decision if you want to continue or not. But if you are not motivated enough to get through those first 7 days, then it's probably not going to work out, because it's pretty tough on your body to breastfeed successfully, unless you're one of those lucky few, which I hope all of you are, but I'm not. So other than that, I still take showers with a bikini top on because my nipples hurt when the water touches them. But yeah, we're doing well with the breastfeeding. My hospital stay otherwise was good. I did try and film like a little hospital room tour. I didn't really get out of bed for it, but I'll try and insert that here in my little room tour. Here we are at the hospital. Baby girl Ward is still less than 1 day old. Here she is. little baby Dream. Our hospital room. So Justin sleeps. Beautiful flowers and a balloon. And some of my things. Everyone's doing really well. Especially this one. Check out this hair too. She's got a lot of it. All the dark brown hair. All right. The nurses were amazing. My doctor, she came in twice and she didn't get to deliver my baby, which I really wanted her to, but delivering late on a Sunday night, it just wasn't going to happen. So I did get to see my doctor a couple times and chat with her, and she was like, "Oh, I was so hoping to deliver your baby." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, me too." But it worked out exactly how she and I had hoped it would and planned for, as far as things just going quickly and avoiding pain meds and avoiding the epidural. And so she was really happy for me. And I'm going to miss actually going to my doctor's visits. Is that weird? I just liked chatting with my doctor. So yeah, I'd say the hospital stay was really nice. So I delivered at 10 p.m. on a Sunday. We stayed the whole next day, had her 24-hour appointment at 10 p.m. on Monday night, and then left Tuesday midday to come home. So that was a really sweet moment to come home and have my son meet my daughter. I'll insert some pictures here and a little video as well of him holding her. Are you holding your sister?
This is sister. It's blue eyes.
She has blue eyes. And you're her big brother. Give her a kiss?
No.
Oh, it's very sweet.
This is nose. This is head.
She has a nose.
This is no eyes.
And eyes?
It's the blue eyes again.
Yeah.
And the blue eyes.
Yes, you do. He's such a great big brother. He's always asking about her and holding her, and it's very cute. And so, without further ado, I want to announce her name. We came up with her name about a week before she was born. Her name is Marissa Eileen Ward, and she is not named after anyone, but it was a name that we both just agreed on and really like, and I spelled it with only one S because that is the kind of Italian Spanish way of spelling Marissa. My mom's side of the family is 100% Italian, and so I wanted to use that spelling instead of the traditional American spelling with two S's. And her middle name, Eileen, is a common middle name in my husband's family. And so my son's middle name is Everett, and so I thought it was sweet for them to both have middle names that start with the letter E. And my son was named after my grandfather, my late grandfather, and Marissa is named after my husband's grandmother's middle name. And so her name was Norma Eileen, and so there's just, a little bit of family history with both of their middle names, and their first names are both just names that my husband and I both like. So my son is named Bradley, and my daughter is Marissa. Here is my baby girl, Marissa. She is about 2 weeks old now and sleeping away. In her halo bassinet, which I love, by the way. Marissa Eileen. All right, so as far as what's next for my YouTube channel, I will be putting together a belly progression video. So I did try and take little snippets of video shots as my belly progressed from, I think I started around 10 weeks or so, all the way up to 39 weeks. And including, I'll do a few postpartum belly progression updates as well. And also on my channel, I will be doing, motherhood updates and, baby Marissa updates. And then some breastfeeding videos. I do have a pumping video from when I used the Spectra pump. Now I use the Medela pump. And so I'd love to do a video comparing those two. And then, review some products for you guys. And I will be doing as many video updates as I can, but also enjoying being at home with my daughter and my son and my husband. We are both still stay-at-home parents right now. Neither of us are working. And I will at least be home until the end of this year. So that is very exciting. So I'll have about 5.5 months of maternity time at home. All unpaid, but still, that's okay. And so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this wasn't a disappointing video because I didn't vlog the labor and delivery, but I did want to share the story. I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone. So I almost forgot to do a postpartum belly shot for you. So here is my 2 weeks postpartum belly. The line is from my leggings. But as you can see, I did not get any stretch marks this pregnancy. My belly's still sticking out a little bit, but not too bad. So we'll be working on it. I did get a little bit of the linea nigra line, but I don't know if you can really still see it. Maybe just a touch. Yep, but that's what we're working with. All right,